live first. And then
I'm thinking we just go back and forth talking about the 2005 season, but not directly mentioning the season. Remember the last time we had to win out? Remember the last time we had a star retiring? Big star retiring. Barely made the playoffs, shouldn't have been there. Embarrassed by the first round team. You're 14-point underdogs in that game. And then we went into Cincinnati and smacked them in the mouth. And we did the same thing to the Colts. I remember that was my first Steelers season I remember watching.
yeah, I got some stories about that 2005 team.
Were you a Steeler fan then?
That was my first full year.
Yep, that was the first season I watched.
I got a story about that.
Dumb thumbnail.
Yeah, I just said whatever.
Just a heads up though, you are live. Whatever we're saying is going on YouTube right now.
What am I looking for right here? I see you're close to the 60 follower mark.
Are you gonna reset this video?
Huh?
Are you gonna reset this video?
What do you mean?
Well, just because it's playing everything we're saying right now onto our YouTube channel. Did you fix it? Are you gonna make a new video or just? No, you're muted.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? We have a banger, an absolute banger of a show for you here on the Renegade Roundtable podcast. I am Jeffrey Kirby. That is none other than the man, the lithium, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Yet again, me splurging out like that is exactly how the Pittsburgh Steelers season has gone, but that none other is the legend. Caleb, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing a whole lot better than some of the other teams in the AFC North right now who are going to have to watch us in the playoffs once again.
Hey, we got to see their commercials all year long, though. Their nice fancy house, they can watch it with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I mean, they are. You know what's crazy is Baker Mayfield had more at-home commercials than he did touchdown passes this year. Did you know that?
Yeah, and now he can watch them sitting at home.
Oh, this is great.
How can that commercial not end up going wrong at some point when you do at home with your quarterback? Someone's going to rip on you when you're not in the playoffs with watching that commercial. Like, are they going to play that commercial during the games?
I don't know, but that would be great. That would be the
That
ultimate
would be awesome.
troll.
That would be the greatest thing in the world.
Listen, that's going to be absolutely epic because of the fact that with that, I mean, let's be honest here. As we all know, it's been a thing. It's been a gag here on the show for a long, long time. I am from a certain city that I will not say because every time I want to say that, now it's like puke in my mouth. See, I'm growing. I'm growing as a Yinzer. Are you proud of me?
I am very proud of you. You've come a long way in the few months we've been doing this.
And, so I'm from a certain city and for 10 months out of the year, from around this time in 2021 till, at first it started off October 31st, 2021 on Halloween when the Steelers beat the Browns again. It was great. And then we got to humiliate. We got to humiliate them again. That's what made that whole night special. You have fans that were chanting Cleveland sucks. TJ Watt is laughing and trolling Baker Mayfield. It was great. And even right now, especially with the heart attack that we all had to endure on Sunday, a double heart attack. Right now.
Oh my word!
Like Go ahead.
Did you watch that Chargers game? Did you hear the announcers, man?
Oh, listen, it was ridiculous. I mean, Chris Collinsworth, he was begging for a tie, which, hold on, real quick, too. I'm going to go on a tiny tangent for a half a second. By the way, Chris Collinsworth, you know who else he works for? You know who else he's with?
Who's that?
Pro Football Focus. And you know what else? Pro Football Focus. More like Amateur Football Focus, because your guys' little defensive player of the year being Aaron Donald, and you guys having this whole agenda about how TJ Watt should not be the defensive player of the year because of this dumbass stat and this analytical stat that absolutely no one else in the history of existence knows about? Hell, for God's sakes, they were trying to really make an argument for Myles Garrett when Browns fans themselves were all saying, nah, TJ's it. TJ's the guy. I just don't get it.
Are you even ranting right now, or is the NFL going to say that's not a rant?
I don't know.
We're gonna have to review your rant, and turns out I picked up the conversation and tried to advance it, so then your rant doesn't count, and you can just.
Well, it's all right. I'm probably gonna get $10,000 fine. What's up, Marcus? From the NFL for misconduct or whatever. So, whatever. Sure, cool. Stop Motion Panda Studio says someone who ties the single season sack record doesn't deserve it. Thank you. That's what's even crazier about this. Well, here's their thing. No way TJ doesn't win it. No, here's the thing though. We all should not have any questions about TJ Watt not winning Defensive Player of the Year. And I know this is going completely off topic of what we were going to go into, but here we are. TJ Watt ties the single season record for sacks in a season with Michael Strahan at 22.5, which, by the way, again, the NFL not giving him, or it was a special boo-roo or whatever the hell you want to call it. They reviewed that one play that could have possibly been a sack, and they said no, because of course it isn't. But you have that, and then on top of that, you get, obviously, Pro Football Focus doing things to Aaron Donald and a Myles Garrett that I'm not going to say because I also don't want to get taken off of YouTube. But, like, it's ridiculous at the fact that I'm still sitting here thinking there's still a chance that TJ Watt might get screwed. And if TJ Watt somehow, someway gets screwed out of this Defensive Player of the Year, then, because let's be honest, 95% of people last year said that TJ Watt got screwed and Aaron Donald. And you looked at the stats. You remember the graphic JJ Watt posting on his Twitter? The graphic of how basically he was better than everything in Aaron Donald last year? And then you get this? I just don't get it because, you know, pass block, win rate, or blah, 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 blah. Come on. And then they try to hit us with the sack is the most overrated stat or whatever. Shut the hell up. That right there just proves to me why no one in the history of existence should ever want to pay for anything from Pro Football Focus. All right, I'm done now.
Sacks are overrated?
That's pretty much, I think that was a quote from someone from Pro Football Focus. And
Hey,
if you look at all the tweets.
If sacks are overrated, like, sign me up to getting more of these. Let's get them cheaper then if they're overrated, you know? Let's go for a guy with 30.
Like, I don't know. Pro Football Focus is the biggest, I don't know what the bigger clown shoe. That or just all fans of the Cleveland Browns. I don't know. Someone let me know. I mean, what's a bigger circus act? Please let me know.
Hey, Browns have some competition, though. I don't know if you noticed, but at that Jacksonville game, they had about 2,000 fans dressed up like clowns.
Hey, shout out to Jacksonville, though. For the first time in my life, I had to root for Trevor Lawrence. Hey, shout out to Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, actually did something for me. Actually, no. That's the second time you've done something for me, too, because he stunk up the joint the last time you had to play Ohio State in the semifinals. So, shout out to you for that, and then you did this for me. So, maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll start to grow a little bit of a fandom here. We'll see what happens, Trevor. But
all right, I have a question for you about all that then.
Okay.
Of the three things that needed to happen, our win, Jacksonville's win, and then that game not ending in a tie. What did you think was the hardest that we ended up getting on Sunday?
What was the hardest option?
What were you most nervous about following along with?
Going into Sunday, it was obviously the Jacksonville Colts game. Because you look at it, Jacksonville, they've been an absolute train wreck all year long. They've been dealing with, they got the whole Urban Meyer thing. He gets canned. Now there's a possibility of someone who's still in the organization leaking stuff. And Trevor Lawrence is trying to say, hey, we need to get this dude the hell out of here because he's messing with he's messing with a whole bunch of stuff that's going on inside internally. And because you're like, let's be honest here. A tie is very unlikely, but that would be the most Pittsburgh Steelers thing to have happened to us in our entire life. But then, it's like, because on Sunday, when the Steelers had to play the Ravens, it's like, okay. We all saw how, for the most part, how bad the offense was. Once again, what did Pittsburgh Dad say in his most recent video? It feels like they like to start their drives on third downs. Yeah. Oh, we don't like third downs? All right, we'll just go to fourth down then. How about that? So you get that. You get the fact that it was 10-6, and it felt like a two-score game because you couldn't trust the offense to go 10 yards. It just, that's how it felt. But then you also had this weird feeling that this is possibly Ben Roethlisberger's final game. That was where Ben Roethlisberger saw his first action in 2004, was in Baltimore after Tommy Maddox got hurt. And playoffs are on the line. This is like another certain season that we have that we've witnessed in our lifetimes, which we're definitely going to get into. Certain season, for those that know, you know. But yeah, and then, like I said, the tie was very unlikely, but that was the most Pittsburgh Steelers thing to have happen for it to be 2 seconds away from actually tying.
Hey, thanks Staley for that timeout there.
Hey, shout out to Brandon Staley. Shout out to you.
I mean, we appreciate that it happened, but like, what is the logic on that timeout there? Like, what are you trying to gain? I'm still lost. Like,
I don't know. Real quick, I do want to get to this comment here. Panda Studio says, Indy hasn't won in Jacksonville in 14 years. As garbage as the Jags are, I felt decently confident about that game. That is something true because remember last year, the Jags' only win that they had was week 1 against the Indianapolis Colts. And for some odd reason, it just seems like that is what the Indianapolis Colts kryptonite is. But it was just like one of those things where, okay, I mean, But then at the same time, you take into consideration, the Colts were fighting for a playoff spot. So they had stuff to play for. And then Jacksonville's just playing for, they're playing with house money. It doesn't matter with them. The most they might be playing for was if they lose, they get guaranteed the first overall pick, which they ended up getting anyway with the win over the Lions, or with the Lions beating the Packers. So
we'll put it this way, though. Say we were, 2-14 going into last week of the season, and we were playing Baltimore, and they were going for a playoff spot. You don't think that our fans would be hyped up into that game, hoping we can possibly knock Baltimore out of the playoff spot?
That's the thing, though. So you bring up a great point. And this is something that I want to get into with this whole game, like with the Raiders and Chargers. Everyone and their mother was just praying for a tie. Let's just tie. Let's both get in. Do you think there's a chance in hell any fan base in the AFC North, whether it's the Browns, the Ravens, the Bengals, or the Steelers, do you think there is any chance in hell we're saying that? Hell no! That is why I personally feel like the AFC North fan base, they have some garbage fans, but let's be honest, it is the best fan base all around in terms of division. Reason being, we can all come together when another division says they have the best fans. Hell no, because let's be honest, Ravens fans have a good fan base. Pittsburgh is always known as one of the best fan bases in all of football. Browns, as much as I hate to say, they do have one of the biggest fan bases in all of football. The Bengals, well, they're the Bengals, but at the end of the day, there's not a chance in hell. If there's a chance to tie, we would much rather win. We want the bragging rights.
Well, and you just get the shot to eliminate your rival from the playoffs. It seems like those games where you let the other person in because you'll get them the next time always comes back to bite you in the rear end come playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
We unfortunately saw it last year when we lost that last. I forget who we even played at the end of the season. We lost that game.
We lost to the Browns
I don't even remember who we. Yeah, I don't even remember who we played in the playoffs, but whoever they were, I think they were the team we played the week before. I don't know.
But yeah, it's like, for an example, and I don't want to bring back old players, but I'll do this. Do you think if James Harrison and Terrell Suggs were in that situation, do you think their mindset would be, let's just go ahead and try to tie? Hell no.
Hey, Ravens players would be out there just trying to murder people, so they're all in.
Well, let's be honest. Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed they don't care. No. They want to eliminate the Pittsburgh Steelers. James Harrison, Lamar Woodley, Ryan Clark, and them boys would want to absolutely eliminate and demolish the Baltimore Ravens. It's all about mindset.
That's always been my thinking too when it comes to these rivalry games. People like to talk about the best rivalries in the NFL, but say both of your teams are playing in Week 18. They both lost, like hypothetically, they tied the previous matchup and they lost all the other 15 games. So you're 0-15-1 going into that last game against your opponent.
So both teams playing for their first win of the year. What rivalry would still have their fans all out trying to beat the other team still? It's all AFC North rivalries.
I'm telling you right now, the Packers and Bears, historically, yes. I think if there's one division that I think competes with the fandom of the AFC North, is the NFC East. In terms of fandom, I think that their fan base hates, absolutely despises all the other teams in that division. Maybe not as much as I think the AFC North does, but they're the only team that I could think of that competes with that.
But how's their division been like?
Well, no, I'm not saying it. I'm just talking about strictly fandom. I'm not talking about.
Well, no. Yeah, talk fandom too. The division's still been weak, and you still see that fandom. So it's proven my point of it's like when your team isn't successful, do you still hate the other teams in your division?
Oh yeah, I mean, regardless or not, I mean, well, like obviously, well, it might be a little bit different story because, well, even when Cincinnati was terrible, Pittsburgh fans absolutely despised Cincinnati. Baltimore despises Cincinnati. I think it was a little bit different with Cleveland just because we always, that it really felt like. But here's the thing, though, too. It was the fact that, yes, even when Cincinnati went through a time when they were really bad just a couple years ago, they still have had playoffs. They've still been to the playoffs. They've still won the division. And hell, even this year, they won the AFC North. So it's like, okay, there has been some success there. Cleveland, they've just been absolutely terrible. They had one good year, which we'll see what happens. That could easily look like a fluke. They're in complete shambles right now with what's going on over there. But but yeah, I feel like in terms of fandom, there's no fandom like the AFC North at all.
No, not even close.
Let's go ahead. I want to do a quick reminiscing about how this season compares to actually multiple seasons.
The thing is though, there's one in particular.
Actually, no. If there's two seasons that are both both have very similar scenarios, and we're going to get into those. I want you to start off with the one that you're thinking of.
My season I'm thinking of was that last time when we drafted a franchise tight end. Okay. That was our big thing. Brought in a tight end. He was a staple for a couple of years there. Came off a disappointing playoff loss the year before. Successful season where we won over 12 games the year before. Kind of a down year. Had to win out to make the playoffs. Did it against some very big teams. Played in playoff games against big matchups. First matchup, I think we were 14 points or 10-point underdogs. Second matchup, we were close to 15-point underdogs. Third matchup was around 10. And we went through and we steamrolled all three of those teams to make it to the Super Bowl. With one legend riding it out, winning one on his final game with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, could happen.
Here's how another season sounds familiar. Hardest schedule in the NFL. Not a great offensive line. Again, disappointing playoff loss the year prior. This year, obviously our defense has been a disappointment, but you look at it as you've had some turmoil. There was a little bit of turmoil with this other team that I'm thinking, or this other season I'm talking about. But also you come out and find a way to win a Super Bowl. Zay says, actually, the last time the Colts beat the Jags was in 2014. To correct you, thank you, I appreciate that, Zay. I think it was, okay. But yeah, I mean, both seasons have similarities. And if you remember, I was saying this about a certain season, the 2008 season, at the very beginning of our time here at Renegade Roundtable. This felt utterly similar. Not a good offensive line. That season did not have a great run game at all. For those that need a reminder, Willie Parker was getting irritated and telling Mike Tomlin, hey, we need to run the football more. I can help out. Just And the passing offense was not that great that year. You remember we had Hines Ward, Nate Washington, Santonio Holmes, and then obviously we did have Heath Miller and Matt Spaeth. So we have a nice little 1-2 combo then in terms of tight end. We have a nice little 1-2 combo now when obviously Ebron is playing with those two being together. And then you go to that season that you're talking about, the 2005 season, where, again, like you said, disappointing loss. You had the loss last year in the AFC Championship game against New England, where they went on to win their third Super Bowl in 4 years. Jerome Bettis he damn near retired then. Ben Roethlisberger convinced him, said, I promise you I will get you home to your Super Bowl. That did happen. And then, who was the first game they played? I know they played the Colts and the Broncos.
The first game they played in the playoffs, they went to Paul Brown Stadium and beat the Bengals.
Yes. Thank you. That was driving me insane because that was the Carson Palmer, Kimo von Oelhoffen game. That was the game on the second play from scrimmage on offense where they destroyed his knee. Okay. Thank you for reminding me because that was driving me up a wall. Because that was also the first time that the Bengals hosted a playoff game in Cincinnati in years.
They still haven't won one in Cincinnati in years, though.
They
lost that game.
It's crazy. They have not won a playoff game since 1991.
It's kind of nuts.
It's insane. And also a fun fact, too, the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers went last in their division was 1988. I was -11. -11. That is insane to think about.
Just a little bit.
My God. Here, to put it in perspective, the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers were last in their division, Michael Jordan did not even win a title. That is insane to think about if you put it in that perspective.
Well,
Brett Favre was not in the league yet. Put it in that perspective.
there was teams that didn't even exist.
Yeah, the Carolina Panthers didn't exist. The Jacksonville Jaguars didn't exist.
The Texans.
The Texans didn't exist as of then. They were the Oilers at the time.
No, Texans were expansion friend. The Titans were the Oilers. Titans were still the Oilers. Texans weren't even expanded yet.
Okay, maybe I got my history confused. But and there was another team too that wasn't even in existence yet. I don't think, or was there? I'm trying to think.
Hold on, this is gonna bug me. Let me look this up.
Yeah, while you do that, I'll talk about for a second just how that whole. I'm just gonna talk about Sunday for just a second. Last Sunday, because now looking at that game, you couldn't tie. If you were the Steelers, there was no way in hell you could tie because you were both out of the playoffs if that was the case. Zay says the last time the Steelers were in last place, the Baltimore Ravens did not exist. Thank you. That's the other team I'm thinking about was the Baltimore Ravens.
See, I was thinking them too, but that one's kind of a gray area because like that franchise, like Cleveland lost their NFL franchise, which is hilarious, and then technically the new Browns didn't exist because that's the old Browns franchise. Who cares about either one of those teams? That's why I wasn't mentioning it.
I'm gonna show you a funny story. So I was given this. This is a Steelers tie. I was given this as a Christmas gift by my friend Paul. Shout out to Paul. Because I went to the Lions game. I thought there was a chance I might have to come on here and wear this on this show today if the Steelers would have somehow tied that game on Sunday. But shout out to the elite Chris Boswell. For those that watch the reaction videos here on the channel, you notice every time Chris Boswell makes a field goal, I always say elite because he is elite. But, yeah, just with this whole thing on Sunday, it felt like did you have a thought for any part of time during that game that maybe this was rigged with how things were just going?
Oh, absolutely.
And I was getting called delusional for that. And I'm like, tell me how you're able to script this.
Okay. But that falls under a discussion we had in a previous episode right before the season started, where we were talking on how easy it would be to rig. I don't think games like that are rigged as in, like, you will throw this completion here, you will throw this completion here, you will run the ball,
Right.
you will make this play. It's not rigged to that level because it couldn't be. But and everyone says, like, oh, it's the NFL, there's too many people involved. It'd be pretty easy to get your head coaches and your refs involved in rigging a game.
Yeah, I mean,
Even if you take the head coaches out, it's very easy for the collective body of officials at a game to call a game in a certain way to boost ratings. And we see it happen all the time.
Well, look at it this way too. In this perspective, they were easily. Did you see the video of who? I forget what player it was. It was some Raiders player. They were talking to Austin Eckler about, were you guys going to take a knee if it wasn't for that timeout? The Las Vegas Raiders were going to take a knee, and they were just going to take the tie. Which, that's part of it's not rigged, but it's the fact that it goes back to the conversation that we just had about how the other team's mindset is. Do you really think the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens, if those two were playing against each other, would just take a knee and take the tide for both teams to get in the playoffs?
No. I would love to put our playoff hopes on the line just for a little bit of chance at eliminating Baltimore's.
I mean, and let's be honest, that happened because that did happen for us on Sunday, where obviously there was more that needed to happen for Baltimore, and we knew about what we need, the scenarios that we needed to have happen, but it was either team was playing, loser is out of the playoffs, and that you were playing for that as well. I mean, yes, we were worried about what we were trying to get into, but obviously it's a nice little thought to say, hey, we can knock this team out of the playoffs as well. We can knock our biggest rival in the division out of the playoffs. And they were rolling. You have momentum. After that game on Monday, where the defense looked phenomenal, you have all this built-up energy from Ben Roethlisberger and how the fans were just... I'm still so sick to my stomach at the fact that I was not able to go to that game. But, like, it was just... You have so much, like, just emotion from that. And you know how much more cool it would be to knock out your biggest rival in the playoffs like that?
Send them home?
That's why in 2008, when the Steelers played the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, yes, it was cool that you were able to knock off, or that you were able to go off to the Super Bowl, but it's also nice that the fact that you were able to knock off your biggest rival, send them home, and you were able to beat them a third time that year. Zay says that game felt absolutely rigged because of how it was going down. I did not watch most of the game. I turned it on at the beginning of overtime, which was probably the worst idea I probably could have ever had, because I thought my hair was going to start falling out because I was at work. But it was just like, how? How does this happen?
Here's the thing, though. Here's what you got to remember. The NFL, we like to watch this football game. We all like to support our teams. But the NFL and these owners, they're a business. And so if these games can end in such a way where you have all these fan bases tuned in because of a chance that it could tie, or if it just, ends in they march down the field and they get a touchdown in overtime and the game's over. You can draw out those ratings. You can boost those ratings and get just a little bit more people paying attention. That's what the NFL does. They market the game to us. So if some of these games, a normal week 3 game against Cincinnati, does that feel rigged? No. Do some of these bigger games feel like they're called in such a way to call a team back into a game or continue ratings longer? Oh, absolutely. And that it's kind of like one of those unspoken things that if you don't realize that it's going on in your favorite sport league, then you need to wake up and realize it's going on in your favorite sport league.
Right. Well, here we go, too. Just looking at the fact that with the NFL, this was a perfect scenario for them. You know how many divisions were on the line? How many playoff games were on, or how many playoff spots were on the line in week 18? This was a dream scenario. And here's a fun stat for you as well, because we just love to throw out stats like no tomorrow. Remember at the beginning of the year where everyone was saying that they were going to boycott the NFL and they weren't going to watch and blah 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 blah. Well, here you go for those people that did say they were going to do that. Apparently, you didn't do a good job, because per the NFL, the 2021 NFL regular season averaged 17.1 million viewers, which is the highest regular season average since 2015. NFL games accounted for 91 of the top 100 most watched telecasts on television. So congratulations to those people that said they were going to boycott the NFL. Y'all did a wonderful job. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah, you guys did such a wonderful job, you sons of bitches. But let's just go ahead and continue on. But let me go ahead and mute my laptop while I'm at it. But yeah, it's just, let's be honest, the NFL is always going to be king in America. Always will be king. And that's what I love about the NFL as well.
Yeah,
But let's go ahead. Let's talk about this little playoff game that we have on Sunday night. That some people are still mad at the fact that they have to watch us in the playoffs again. Let's talk about how the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing the Kansas City Chiefs again. And first off, I just want to get your thoughts. I want to get your initial thoughts on just the Steelers having to play the Bengals or playing the Chiefs.
Here's the thing. So this is a little off topic, but here's how I compare this game.
Okay.
I mean, the Pittsburgh people would understand with the Riverhounds, but it's a USL team. I'm an MLS fan. Okay. I for some strange reason, I follow the team in Salt Lake City, right? On the last day of the season, they shouldn't have been in the playoffs. They scored right at the end of the game to get into the playoffs. They had to go to the highest seed. They somehow upset them and beat them. They upset the second round team. There was no shot that they were supposed to win these games. And then they get to the Western Conference Final and they lost. And I just got to the end of the game thinking, like, you know what? That was a fun run, but we shouldn't have even been here in the first place. Mm-hmm. That's how I kind of feel going into this game. And last year, I forget who we played, but we were supposed to win that game, and we didn't. We were the favorite. We were the ones who fell short. This year, all of the pressure's on Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
There's no pressure on Pittsburgh right now, because if you lose, you were supposed to lose, and people are going to forget about it. But you know what? If Kansas City loses, they're never going to live that down.
No. The Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday are playing with house money. They're playing, as like you said, they're a 12.5 dog. If you lose, cool. It's supposed to happen. Thank you to Ben Roethlisberger for getting us here one more time. And a lasting memory that you gave us was the fact that you were able to drive down the field and have another clutch game-winning drive against Baltimore in your final regular season game. Thank you. We appreciate that. Cool. We move on to figuring out what the next quarterback situation is. But if you win on Sunday, look at the rest of the teams in the AFC.
See, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
I'm just saying, look at it. You have to look at it from this perspective. I understand where you're getting. You don't want to look too far. But, and this is going to get into another point here. Look at the rest of the AFC. Who's the number 1 seed? The Tennessee Titans. You've beaten them once already. Yes, I get they didn't have Derrick Henry. But I trust this team to where we've seen them play against Derrick Henry before. And what happened?
Yeah.
He had his
And you'd be riding a whole momentum train going into that game too if you somehow come out of Kansas City with a win.
No, let me pull this up in order here. So playoffs. Okay. So in the AFC, we talked about Kansas City. Buffalo. Do we really fear Buffalo right now? You've
No.
beaten them, A, once already, and B, we don't know what Josh Allen you're going to get. You could get the Josh Allen that played against Kansas City in early part of the season on Sunday Night Football, and he looked phenomenal. Or you could get the Josh Allen that played against Atlanta and looked garbage. Looked like he couldn't throw a golf ball in the Atlantic Ocean. Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, yes, they've beaten you twice and they obliterated you the second time. But again, what would the pressure? Joe Burrow and those boys, a lot of those guys have not seen playoff football. Look at some of the guys on this Steelers team. Ben Roethlisberger obviously has a lot of experience in the playoffs. Mike Tomlin himself has playoff experience. It's a whole different ballgame, and it's all mental as well. Then you get into the division stuff. Las Vegas. Yes, you lost to them, but you were also you caught them when they were hot at the beginning part of the year, and they also had Henry Ruggs and John Gruden and Damon Arnett before he starts waving around guns and killing people and putting racist, emails out from 10 years ago or whatever. You caught them at the wrong time, and then on top of that, you were going through your second game with this brand new offensive line. New England. Yes, they have Bill Belichick. But how much do you trust Mac Jones in that kind of situation with all that? Do you really have, how much can you trust him? I mean, that might be the one team that I would fear the most outside of Kansas City in the AFC.
See, I would agree that I'm worried about Kansas City. That's the team I fear the most. But at the same time, we're playing with house money in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not supposed to win. So to be honest, I'm not real worried about it. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to enjoy this playoff game no matter what happens. And I don't think I've ever been able to say that for one of our playoff games. I haven't.
No.
We should have won every single playoff game to this point. This is the lowest we've been. And hear me out. Outside of Kansas City, Cincinnati, I feel like if we were to play Cincinnati, it would be in the AFC Championship game. The only time we'd match up with them. And I like our odds riding that momentum. And you know what? Give me a third shot at that team. The only other team outside of Kansas City that scares me, and since I'm not real scared of Kansas City because we shouldn't win anyway, the only team that scares me in the AFC is the Patriots, because for some stupid reason, we could march you and I out there at quarterback and wide receiver for the Patriots, and somehow I still would feel nervous about the Patriots. We could watch Jeff Kirby right here taking snaps under center. I'll play kicker or something, and you know what? We'd still end up beating the Steelers in some stupid way because that's just how the Patriots are. So
I would be like that real fat backup quarterback that played for the Giants.
Yeah,
I forget his first name. I know his last name was Lorenzen. It was something Lorenzen. But yeah, while you're thinking about it, yeah, I mean what you just said. You're a 12.5 dog. And look at it this way. Here's a positive into this game. You're playing, so it looks like that Kansas City's going to have to play their third string right tackle, Austin Riley. He also played in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay, and he looked awful. And you're going up against Trent Jordan Watt. And we all saw what Trent Jordan Watt can do when you put a backup tackle on him. Jared Lorenzen, yes.
Oh, thanks to that person who fact-checked us.
Yeah, shout out to CRF Trains.
First time listener?
Hey, shout out to you. I really like you. I appreciate you.
You're our favorite listener. Well, at least you're my favorite listener.
He also looks like he has a very similar name to your Twitter account. Maybe you have a fan. Maybe you need to...
No, well, it's not me, obviously, because the R and the F aren't capitalized. It's different person. I mean, it's purely coincidental.
Yeah, it's definitely coincidental. I agree 100%. But yeah, I trust the fact that there are certain things that you can do with this game. Now, obviously, there's going to be the question of how is Najee Harris's elbow? That's a question mark to have. Juju Smith-Schuster possibly coming back. He was back at practice today. That was interesting because
Do you think he's going to play?
I don't know. I think if he does, it might be a little bit of a pitch count because of the fact that you don't want to risk the chance of re-aggravating that shoulder again. And which, by the way, too, I want to make a troll real quick on the Browns real quick. I'm talking about labrums. Juju Smith-Schuster tore his labrum. What was it? Week 5 against Denver. I believe that's when it was. Week 5. Baker messed up his labrum week 2, and you see how quickly Juju was able to come back. Hey, Baker, you dumbass. You could have possibly sat and maybe not cost yourself millions and millions of dollars. But yet again, it's okay because you're going to be sitting at home with Progressive. So congratulations. I guess that is a great way to really help promote your sponsors, is being at home literally and in commercials. Shout out to Baker Mayfield. Woo!
Yeah. But forget that guy, though.
Yeah.
I kind of agree, though, that this Juju thing, he's going to be, if he gets in, he's going to be on a pitch count type situation. But think about it. Why would he even be practicing if he didn't have at least a shot at the game? There's 2 reasons. One, he's a competitor at heart. He loves this team, and he wants to get in, even if it's for 10 to 15 snaps, just to get in there to give his team a chance. And, get one last ride with Ben. He wants to play with Ben. Like, hey, I mean, I love the competitive spirit in that guy. Or this is a decoy, and a couple people were bringing this up on Twitter.
I know.
This could be a decoy move, so that way Kansas City has the game plan for him now.
Look at it this way. Remember what Terrell Owens did in the Super Bowl 6 weeks after breaking his ankle? He did all that, cryotherapy or whatever, all massage stuff and blah, 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 not Deshaun Watson massages and all that. I had to make a dig. But yeah, he did all that and did fairly well in the Super Bowl that year. Yes, I get they lost, but that's a similar situation where you have to game plan for Juju. And on top of that, what is one of Juju's best attributes that he has is the ability to block on the outside. He's a willing blocker. He likes doing the dirty work. And when you have receivers that are willing to do that to help out your running game that obviously has struggled, that's what you need. And yes, I get Juju wasn't the biggest stat guy and, average yards per catch, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I get it. But not only that, it brings more leadership to the young wide receiver core that you have. It brings back production that you were not getting necessarily from James Washington. It helps relieve a little bit of stress off of Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. So there are certain things that you could really watch out for with that. And another thing is Kansas City's defense, yes, down the stretch they have played phenomenal. Similar to what happened to them in 2019 when they won the Super Bowl, where their defense played terrible at first. Down the stretch, they played well because who also is their defensive coordinator? Steve Spagnuolo, who's also had a whole lot of experience in playoffs and Super Bowls because he was also the defensive coordinator for that 2007 Giants team who beat the Patriots. So he has all that experience. But it's at the same time, there are certain things that you can see this team get gassed. And if you can find a way to win the time of possession, if you can start to sustain long drives, keep Patrick Mahomes off of the field, you have a shot. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. If you could get them to have to play one-man safety, because they're going to dare you to throw the football. They're going to try to dare you to throw the football because, they're probably looking at us as a laughing stock trying to throw the football. But if you get them to the point where you have to bring another extra body in the box, that's where you can really, really start to mess with them. That's how I feel about this game.
I mean, another key factor, too, is who's going to be punting for us.
You said what?
Who's going to be punting for us? Are we going to have a punter who can flip the field? Or are we going to...
Yeah, I mean, there you go. I mean, hell, the punter that we had for a couple weeks when Presley Harvin was out with his father, the passing of his father, which, again, prayers to him and his family for all that. I that sucks to have happen. And it was cool that the Steelers were able to get his father out to one last game before he moved on. That was really cool. But yeah, he did phenomenal for us, being able to flip the field, and his average yards per punt was looking pretty damn good. And so I mean, yeah, there's that possibility, but I got this feeling. I got this gut feeling. Steelers are playing with house money. People are taking that Ben Roethlisberger quote way off the rocker, which is honestly kind of pissing me off. But, I mean, yet again, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever with people.
See, I liked his comment.
No. Well, it's not... What he said didn't piss me off. It's how people are, contexting it. And how people are trying to context it. Yeah, we just absolutely have zero shot. It seemed like to me how he was trying to say it. That's how he was like, yeah, it seems like we have no shot. He's trying to as if he's playing third person to what all the other analysts and all that are saying. That's where I got that vibe of, yeah, it seems like we have no shot. So let's just go out there and have fun to see what happens.
Honestly, it looked like it was directly targeted at the media and the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, if you and I were going into, let's say, a highly competitive checkers game, right? Okay, you're like the checker king. Okay, you're the national checker champion. Okay, there you go. You got your hat on stuff. Okay, then there's me. I don't even know how to play checkers, right? I'm supposed to lose. Okay, say I sit there and before this big match, say I sit there and go like, yeah, I'm not supposed to win. He's gonna steamroll me. Like it's gonna be. I'm just gonna be having fun. Like I'm not gonna win, and then I walk away. What does that do? That puts all sorts of pressure on you, because then I acknowledge the fact that I'm not supposed to win. Right. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it?
The mindset.
I feel like it was a target at the media, and like a sarcastic jab at the media, and it was like, here you go, Chiefs, balls in your court.
It was mind games. And that was another thing too, was like, and then you get Andy Reid saying that the Steelers are playing like a number 1 seed in the AFC, which here's my thing. Obviously everyone's saying that's laughable and whatever, blah, blah, blah. The reason why I didn't laugh at that comment is because it's a mindset. Again, you have to have that mindset of, if you're playing a team that you should beat, you got to say, hey, maybe they are playing. You got to find ways to really make sure you stay focused, because this is an easy game where the Kansas City Chiefs can kind of lose focus and feel like, yeah, we're just going to steamroll them, and then we'll move on to the divisional round. And then you have a Hall of Fame head coach in Andy Reid like, hey, these guys are playing like a top seed in the AFC. We got to make sure that we prepare for them. It's all about mindset, and I actually love the fact that, I mean, I don't like the fact that Andy Reid said that, because I understand why he's doing it, but you respect the fact of why he did it. I think that's another thing, too, is like, yeah, we're all, a lot of people, 99.9% of the people laughed at it, but it's all about mindset, it's all about leadership, and all about mentality. It's all about making sure that you stay focused, and this goes back to, with the Steelers, a comment that Joe Schobert made after, I think it was the Lions game, where he was like, yeah, it seems like, we need to work harder at practice and focus more on practice and stuff. I mean, it's true, though, because you lose focus, and then you see what happens. You saw the results. That's the thing. And that's what makes head coaches special.
Head coaches play like this chess game with each other throughout the season. And I love, and a lot of times it goes right over people's heads, and the media just likes to spin it as whatever. But if you just take a step back and think about it, most of these press conferences are just like a chess match with every other coach throughout the season. And it's so fun to watch if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, look at every good team that had to play the Detroit Lions this year, and see how they talked about that team. they're a good football team. They do this, and this well, and, we really need to focus and all that, blah, 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 blah. It's all about mindset. And it's, hell, I'm trying to think, blah, blah, blah. I think the Steelers did it when they were playing the Lions. Like, hey, they're a good they're an NFL professional football team. You can't take any team in this league, take them any lightly, especially once you get in the dance. Once you get in the tournament, it's a whole new ball game. And that's
everybody's 0-0. Go out there and play.
Yeah, everyone is 0-0. Hey, it's win or go home. Do you want to go home and lose to those guys? Hell no. So you better get your ass focused. And you know what I love too is the fact that Pittsburgh on Monday, usually that's a victory Monday, they'll take that day off. Hell no. They said, nope, we're getting right into this film room. We're going to watch film, figure out what we need to work on, and we're going to find a way to beat the Kansas City Chiefs at home in Arrowhead, where, they've hosted the last 3 or 4 AFC championship games. So they've been outside the last 2 years, they were they were the team in the AFC to represent. So, how cool it would be to beat that team? That is what I love, and I think it shows too. I think in these kind of games, look at some of the key players on this team you obviously you had the game last year, and then on top of that, we talked about terrible playoff losses. Remember the 2017 loss against the Jags? That was terrible. But you have got Pat Freiermuth. He's never been in the playoffs. It's not. You have certain guys that have never been in the playoffs, or they've only been there really once, and it wasn't really a real atmosphere because there was no one in the stands and blah blah blah. So a lot of these guys, this will be the first time that they go into a real hostile playoff environment. And that's where the advantage of having Mike Tomlin, having Ben Roethlisberger, even TJ Watt in those situations, Cam Hayward, having guys like that really means something. And I get you're going up against Andy Reid, who's been there a billion times, been in the playoffs a billion times. And you get Patrick Mahomes, who's now been to 2 Super Bowls. He's done all that, blah, blah, blah. But it's also nice to have that leadership on your side as well. Especially if you're Ben Roethlisberger saying, hey, if I lose this game, this is it. I don't want to go out. If I could go out and ride off in the sunset like how Peyton Manning did, or how Ray Lewis did, ride off in the sunset as Super Bowl champions?
Jerome Bettis.
How much more motivation is that? What more motivation could you use than that?
And like I've been saying, though, the pressure is on everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing with house money. We beat the Clowns at home, Ben's last home game, and then we went on the road, and we're going to finish on the road. There's no way we play another home game this year, so might as well play with house money.
I said that to a friend of mine, and I said that exact thing. I'm like, the Steelers are playing with house money. It seems like there's no pressure on them. All the pressure's on Kansas City. He laughed at me. He was like, there's zero pressure on Kansas City. I said, how could you say that? If you lose this game against and Ben Roethlisberger's quote, if there's 14 teams in the playoffs, you're probably number 14. If you lose to that team when you're supposed to be the team that goes to the Super Bowl, how could you say that there's not pressure on you? I don't know. That was kind of a laughable quote that I got.
Yeah, there's an immense amount of pressure on Kansas City right now.
Yeah, I don't, and that's why I'm like, okay. And let's be honest, Steeler Twitter, myself included, you thought I was crazy. Y'all thought I was crazy this year. Wait till if somehow, some way the Pittsburgh Steelers win this game on Sunday. The amount of receipts that have been made, that have been put in the pocket for if it's time to pull it out. You saw the graphic of where it was basically saying Ben Roethlisberger's retirement party. I mean, that's how bad it's gotten. So it's like, okay, If you could beat this team in the playoffs, you get your revenge. Just like how, remember what Bill Cowher said in 2005. Let's play these. Let me get another chance at these guys. And what did he do? He got his chance against Peyton Manning, Tony Dungy, and them boys in the divisional round at the RCA Dome at the time. And what happened? Also, shout out to Mike Vanderjagt missing a kick, but that's also not here nor there. You won the football game. And then you knew going into that game against Denver, you felt like you had a good shot just because of the momentum that you had. Trying to get Jerome Bettis home. Because if you remember, if you go back and watch America's Game, or America's Team, or whatever the documentary is that you're on that team, Joey Porter talking about how he was sick and tired of them every year bringing back the 70s team. It's like, hell no, I'm tired of this. We need to get one now. We need to get this team recognized as a Super Bowl champion. Let's get Jerome Bettis to Detroit. Let's get him into Ford Field. Let's get him home. Let's get him a ring before he rides off in the sunset. That's exactly the vibe that you were kind of getting if you could win this game on Sunday.
Yeah, and if they win this game on Sunday, I like my odds with Tennessee.
Yeah. And who's
on next?
Okay, it's like because let's be honest, the most hostile environment that you're going to play against in any game in the AFC is going to be Kansas City. Tennessee, okay. Ryan Tannehill, do you necessarily fully trust him? No. Yeah, you also have Derrick Henry, who's also, he's coming back from an injury as well. But, I mean, outside of them, it seems like their offense is really not all that much. I mean, you get A.J. Brown. I don't have any trust issues with Julio Jones. He's definitely looked like he's bottomed off. And then on top of that, it'll just be, what other environment's going to be that crazy? Maybe outside of Cincinnati, if you somehow get to meet them again, based on the fact that, that is a division rival. Other than that, this game is going to be the hardest game until you can make it to the Super Bowl.
Until you're playing NFC teams.
Yes. That's why I got a feeling. Every time I say I got a feeling, I get absolutely laughed at. But it's fine. Because...
Here's the thing, though. Why get laughed at? Because you got a feeling you could go on a run, and if not, we weren't supposed to do it anyway.
Exactly. Like, don't get me wrong. Especially me personally. I will get a whole lot of messages about what happened to blah, 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 blah. I thought you had a chance. And you know what happened? You got blown out by Patrick Mahomes and, whatever. Yeah, I'll definitely get those messages. For sure.
What happened to us going
every week whenever the Pittsburgh Steelers lose?
Yeah, what happened to us winning 4 games this year? Finishing last in the AFC.
That's another thing I said.
Getting a top 5 pick.
That is what's even better about this team, is the fact that you're supposed to be a bottom feeder team in the NFL. What happened to the 6 wins, 7 wins? Hell, even some people say 3 wins. What happened to that? Instead, once again, Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger was able to do what good franchises do. They find a way and win football games when you need it most. That is all I got to say about that.
Hey, real quick though. Pens or Kings tonight?
Oh, you're damn right. I wish I had my hat with me. I just bought I had gotten a hat very similar. I think it's the same exact hat as yours. Damn near. But obviously we're going Pens tonight. They're in LA. Yeah, no, give me the Pens.
Yeah, they're in LA. Malkin's hot. Malkin's back. Hey, what happened to Malkin? Destroying our chemistry. Coming back, scoring 2 goals. His line gets all 4 goals. I think he's doing just fine.
Listen, people are dumb. But
hey, people. I mean, honestly though, congrats to the Pens. Congrats on their win streak. Proud of when it ended, because all win streaks have to end at some point. I'm glad it ended before Malkin came back, so that way all these people can shut up about Malkin and leave him alone, because we need him. and this is the deepest team we've seen in a while.
Oh, yeah. But I do want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you guys did enjoy. Hey, by the way, too, 30 minutes from now, got a new draft profile coming out. Go ahead and put your O up because we are doing Kayvon Thibodeau. That's coming out here 30 minutes from now. That'll be coming out, so make sure to go smash that like button over there and comment all that. Go view that. And
Future number one pick.
Very well possibly could be. And then maybe after that, we'll talk about who I prefer more out of him or Aiden Hutchinson. But till then, pretty soon, watch out. Me and Caleb are going to be doing a little collab with Malik Wills. So that video will be coming out here within the next week or so. We're gonna find a day. We're gonna both scout him together because obviously Caleb goes to Liberty, so he's got to see it firsthand in person with his own two eyes. So be sure to watch out for that. But until then, I hope you guys had a wonderful day. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you haven't yet, smash that like button, hit the red subscribe button, drop a comment, turn on a notification bell, go to the description, click the link Revolution Radio Live on Facebook, smash that like button over there. If you don't have a Facebook, where you can follow us on Twitter at Rev Radio Live. All of our information is down in the description, and if you can follow each of us on Twitter, they're right under us. And until then, hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. Go Steelers. Peace out.